or striving to forge or union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man.
That was the nation's first National Youth Poet Laureate, Amanda Gorman, reciting a portion of her poem, The Hill We Climb, at President Biden's inauguration. But now a Florida school is limiting access to that exact poem. The Miami-Dade County Public Schools District is not banning the book altogether containing the poem, but after one parent filed a formal objection, the school did move the book out of the elementary schools, making it instead available only for older students. In a statement released on Facebook, Gorman said, "I'm gutted. I wrote The Hill We Climb so that all young people could see themselves in an historical moment. Ever since, I've received countless letters and videos from children inspired by The Hill We Climb to write their own poems. Robbing children of the chance to find their voices in literature is a violation of their right to free thought and free speech." Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Maxwell Frost of Florida, the youngest lawmaker on the Hill. And in age, you're close to Amanda Gorman, the young poet laureate who spoke at the inaugural, of course. Congressman, this is your home state. You read one of Gorman's poems, in fact, I understand, to a class of Black elementary school children during Black History Month. So what is your reaction to the move, to the message to students?
Of course, disappointed, but not surprised. You know, these attacks on education, these attacks on literature, these attacks on Black literature and Black history have been ongoing over the past several months by Ron DeSantis and the entire DeSantis regime in the state of Florida. He's working to abuse his power to rip history away from kids. And you just said that the book wasn't banned, but it is banned. It was banned from elementary schools. And the fact of the matter is this new unethical law with book banning can allow one person. You don't even have to be a parent in the state of Florida to get a book banned from the shelves. You can just be a random person in the community, submit the form, and they take it off the shelves. And that is not American, and that doesn't sound like freedom or liberty to me.
Now, you represent Orlando, of course, so Mickey Mouse could be your state's most famous resident or emblem. Why do you think Governor DeSantis has squared off with Disney? What does that gain politically?
I think he made a political calculation early on that he needed some sort of fight where he could seem like the good guy so he could work to out-Trump Trump in the presidential primary. And I think what he's finding is, number one, he's failing in the fight in the first place. But number two, this is a fight that most Americans just don't understand and, quite frankly, don't care about. They want, work on their housing. We have a housing affordability crisis in Florida. They want to end gun violence. They want action to ensure that wages can go up and costs can go down, and they're really not interested in a governor fighting it out with Mickey Mouse. And so I think he made number one, a political error, but he's also just wasting taxpayer dollars, really attacking one of our largest, employers in Orlando.
And the House voted Wednesday to overturn the president's plan to cancel billions of dollars in student loan debt. We expect the Supreme Court is going to weigh in at some point. Is there a larger issue at play here, and how does it affect generations of students carrying a lot of debt for years and years?
It does. It impacts many people. And a lot of times when folks think about student debt forgiveness and they hear the word student, they think it just impacts young people. But the fact of the matter is there are people, older folks, people across the entire spectrum of demographics that are impacted by this and who need the relief. And I want to speak directly to folks who say it's not fair. I agree. It isn't fair. It's not fair that people have this debt in the first place. It's not fair that the people who already paid their debt had that debt in the first place, too. But the way government works is we look at an injustice and we work to remedy it. And just because others didn't have it remedied, prior to that, doesn't mean we don't move forward. That kind of logic would mean that Black people and women wouldn't be able to vote now just because folks before them weren't able to vote. And that's not how we should think here. And so I'm for student debt forgiveness. I'm with the president on this, and we're waiting to see what happens in the Supreme Court.
And finally, about the debt ceiling, we see Speaker McCarthy out there and other people from the Freedom Caucus. We have not seen that much from the president or the cabinet secretaries. Do you think they're doing enough to sell their arguments, sell their side of the case?
I think the president has done a lot. I do think the president should use his bully pulpit to really call out these Republicans and tell the nation what's going on in the Oval Office or in the Rose Garden, prime time address, and really telling the American people what the GOP has decided to do. They have manufactured a bomb, this whole debt ceiling crisis, and they're saying, hey, unless you allow us to pass massive cuts to working class families, guess what? We're going to hit the trigger. And in fact, there are many members of the GOP caucus who are maybe kind of interested in hitting the trigger. Maybe they're a little curious to see what happens if our country defaults. But what we know to be true is that working families will suffer. People won't get Social Security checks, Medicaid, veterans will be impacted. And so we need to do what's right and raise the debt ceiling and move on from this.
Congressman Maxwell Frost, a pleasure seeing you. Thanks very much for being here.
Thanks for having me on.